welcome. I'm going to call us to order at 5:30 Horizon Standard Time. 5:31 minute late, sorry. Welcome guests. Do we have any revisions, changes, additions to the agenda? Seeing none and hearing none, I'm going to move us to public comments and correspondence. Any public comments or correspondence?
I have comments related to the warning, and I don't know if I should, can I make them during the discussion about the warning, or should I do them now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ruben, I just wanted to share with you what my intentions are as in running for the U32 school board. My term is up, and I'm intending to move out of East Montpelier over the summer. But I'd be willing to obviously serve for, until that time. Originally, I thought that that would probably be enough to get U32, you know, basically over the finish line. And I communicated that to U32 board, and they were fine. Now it's not exactly clear if July really helps all that much, but given the late date, I figure I might as well run. But I wanted to inform you because you would be in the position of appointing someone to fill my seat when I do have to step down. So.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us know. Sorry that you're moving out of town.
Yeah, to Calais.
To go.
Okay, well, I guess congratulations.
Maybe you can convince them we're not trying to close their school.
Yeah.
Because I heard it again this weekend, and it really, really irritates me.
That would be lovely. Good luck with that, though. Says the cynic.
And we did talk about in the articles committee at the beginning, and I know you guys that because you need to serve until December, that we were gonna figure out a way, just like we've done in negotiations before, that we can do that, appoint somebody at least towards the end, depending on what happens, right? Because right now we don't know if it's 2020 either. Yeah.
All right, thanks. Sorry, I totally jumped in and started without you, so let us
that's
know when you're
okay.
ready. We can pause for a minute.
That's okay, I thought you might have, I just, on my way here as fast as I could get
Yeah.
here, but the roads are.
No, don't worry about it.
I completely forgot to look
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
make sure that you were here and set
Minus
up.
the-
This breed design.
I might have something.
Oh,
We've
to-
only
This
done
one
through public
is a
comments,
hotel.
and you're okay.
Yeah, you haven't missed much other than the call to order.
Okay.
I have this for work for other stuff. Oops. I can distract us, because it's School Board Appreciation Month, I brought you guys some blueberry lemon bars.
Oh, yeah.
In case you guys have been running around a bit like me and I'm just a little hungry.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move us to, I would take a motion to approve the minutes of December 17th. So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion of the minutes of December 17th? Not seeing or hearing any. All of those in favor of approving them as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Discussion agenda, town meeting preparation, 3.11, board communications plan.
So I'd say, I would start off, Ruben, by, you finished your report last week. You get the gold star, you're the first chair to be in.
Yeah, I just want the record to show I, for the first time maybe ever, was not only on time, but got my report in first.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Call out. I was the first one to be done. So the report, as we talked about last month, is going tomorrow morning to Deb. And it will be should be all set to go, so. I know that you guys talk a lot more about the communication plan than that, but I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
thought I'd
so
give you that update to kind of give a little pause as I saw something flipping.
We usually just talk about the front porch forum and the slideshow so I had a question, I'm assuming that we will do our usual, just show the school at town meeting, like still have a informational town meeting or not. I'm trying to do it right. I think there'd be a lot of questions and so I think, but
What
My,
town meeting day.
questions about what? Because we're not voting on a board, but you can't talk about anything that's on, like, people or.
No, I mean, questions about where we are in the process. So like, where are we as a school, the slideshow as we usually do, and take the opportunity to inform people where we are in, between moving forward in Act 49 or the loss, whatever it is.
so
So-
my sense has been that we're gonna pretty much proceed as we always have with the absence of a vote.
Yeah, I mean,
Be
of course.
very clear that we have no authority, but this is what we've done.
Yeah.
So it's communicated to you and to me on January 10th from the Agency of Education. It talks to you about the state board order and the current state of the lawsuit, and that there was a postponement right now in the
I don't know.
agreed upon scheduling, interim scheduling agreement to pull things to February, that you were under no authority to present budgets.
Right.
And it was very direct on that from the agency.
Does that preclude us from presenting what we had recommended to the transitional board?
I don't think anything precludes you from presenting whatever you'd like.
Okay.
It's whether you have a vote.
But I think it's very clear that we don't have a vote.
Yeah.
And so, in my mind, and I'll leave this up for your consideration, but in my mind, we proceed as we have in the past, with the obvious difference being that we're not bringing a budget for consideration by the voters at this time.
You all set?
I'm sorry, Bill. I'm obviously in a state of even greater confusion than usual.
We did the U32 at 5.
While I was getting a car out of a snowbank.
It's okay.
I'm so
to
sorry.
hear that.
Yeah,
Okay
it's
with the car?
out. Yeah,
Good.
thanks.
Good.
My apologies.
We had 4 and we were able to do that piece.
Oh, great.
And
Okay,
recommended that.
wonderful.
So thank you for coming.
No, thank you very much, and my apologies, everyone.
No, it's nice to see you.
This sort of cameo appearance. Well, you're very kind, but
After 2 hours to get in the car.
He has a meeting on Wednesday already. He doesn't need
That's
another
true.
meeting.
look forward to it, Flora. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Okay,
Can I
so,
ask a question?
sure.
I'm just curious why you're not presenting a budget, because according to the state statute, 422 and 428, you're required as the entity that controls this school.
But the state legislature has been very clear.
The state
as-
legislature didn't change those laws.
Well, they
I
changed Act
think what happened
46.
is that the legislature did not plan on there being an appeal to forced mergers. I don't think they planned on any of this, and I don't think they planned on the Attorney General's office and the AOE needing more time to respond. And so, right now, you guys are the ones that are in control legally of this entity. And I'm not really sure why you're not, when there is a state law that you're responsible for presenting a budget to the electorate to be voted on town meeting. Now, you can say that, we're waiting until the organizational meeting, but, that's like buying a house and saying, well, I'm gonna rent out part of it and get this much money for to help me pay the mortgage. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Agreed.
So I'm not sure why you're not putting a budget out to vote. There are schools in the state of Vermont that are doing that. Schools that are in a forced merger situation that are putting budgets on their school district town meeting to be voted on.
So my sense is that if we do that, it's going to create a lot of confusion in the taxpayers, because it's already, there's a million things up in the air, and there's a million moving parts, and I think the act of presenting a budget that we actually don't have authority to present at this point, I understand that you have a different view on that, but
I'm not sure why you don't have the authority to present it.
because the transition process has been pretty clearly laid out in my mind.
But the transition board has not been sworn in. There is
I
no
understand that,
transition board in
and
control right now.
So the way that I am looking at this, in my mind, if something occurs and we need to warn a budget, we will warn a budget. But it's
So,
not this.
can I just ask, is that the way every one of you feels that same way? That you don't feel like you need to follow the state statute that says you're required to present a budget?
I'm following what's been
Uh,
advised
for
to
the
us by
electorate
Act
to vote on.
46
And by our attorneys.
and attorneys, and I don't think it has to be on town meeting day if it comes down to,
Yeah, it
we
does.
have to have a budget.
Yes, it does.
Well,
That's what the statute says.
I
Unless you
understand.
decide the year before, you know, how sometimes schools say, well, we want to have the meeting on a Saturday after town meeting. You vote on that, like if we decided this year we wanted to have it on a Saturday after town meeting, you would vote this year on that, but then that wouldn't take effect until next year. So no, you are required. And that legislative law has not been changed.
I'm following what I've been advised through this whole Act 46
Okay.
mess. That if our communities had had the right to vote, we wouldn't be in this mess, but they never did. So this is where we are, and we've been told now to warn it in February for the transition because of the delay, so.
Yeah.
So everyone else feels the same way.
Well, I think for myself is we've been, because we are the school board members, we're trying to follow what they're telling us where we are. So at each step of the time, we had to change things when we needed to change them. We submitted an alternative because that's what our communities wanted. We got rejected. They told us to do a warning, for the 14th. We had to change that. So at every step of that, so I think what you can be sure about is that each step of the way, we're gonna do what is best for our community, what they're telling us to do. So at each step of the way, we're not here to oppose Act 46. We're not here to propose an alternative right now. We're just trying to stay on top of it, by our fingernails, literally. So every week, things change. Every week, we change the timeline. Every week, we're like, are we putting articles to vote or not putting articles to vote? So it would be really, for us, premature to assume that we would just create, like Ruben was saying, create a little, even more confusion, because then we would put a budget to vote, and then if it's not the right thing, we would be underwater every step of the way. So what you can be assured is that we, for real, are doing the best we can to stay on top of it, to whatever they're telling us. We're not, we're respecting both timelines, the lawsuit and what the AOE is telling us, and we're trying to combine it as best as we can with our legal counsel and Bill. So it's not, we're not the experts. So we're the experts on, on the school and the kids, but we're legally, we don't, we don't, I don't know. That's sort of how I feel. I feel like, please be assured that we are gonna do everything we can to do the best we can for the community.
And the they being the
Yeah.
AOE?
The what?
The they that's telling you this is the AOE?
No, it's our lawyer. We have a lawyer, Chris Leopold is our lawyer for.
Two places. You have the
Two
Agency of Education
this-
that have
and-
sent that in written documentation that I have in front of me on my computer, which I've shared with all board members.
Yeah. Right here.
And And then also Chris Leopold, who the Articles of Agreement Committee hired for all the Act 46 and transition process. And
And
give me
was
that.
the question ever asked, how does it get reconciled with the other two statutes that say you must present a budget?
It was, I didn't ask that direct question of anybody. What I did ask was that, what I was told is that we're under the current order that was decided on November 28th in the state board.
So Stephen and Darcy, you're saying?
So I won't respond as an individual. We should have a motion as a board. And if the question is of the board, we should reply as a board. We're not individuals, we're a group.
Sure.
And then we can express our individual opinions in relation to the motion. And I'd be comfortable making a motion.
Go ahead.
So my motion would be that we follow the Agency of Education and Washington Central Supervisory Union legal advice not to present a budget for vote.
I'll second.
Can you add at this moment?
At town meeting, or
If the Agency of Education guidance or our legal guidance changed, then we wouldn't be bound by that vote, but based on the current
Yeah.
Agency of Education and legal advice. So then I would think it's appropriate as individuals to discuss that. So Darcy, I'm
And
sorry to
motion
cut
and
you
a
off.
Discussion?
Sure.
Sure, okay.
Absolutely.
So, my view is I wanna follow what's been recommended to us. I also don't know what would happen if we tried to pass a budget that passed. What would then happen if we tried to then, not just from a confusion standpoint, but is there anything legal that we'd have to then, or is the budget just a temporary thing that could change it? You know what I mean? Like, you would have, I don't understand that process enough to.
So there's a debate happening right now amongst school attorneys, if there were a budget and another one had to be done about how you would rescind a budget adopted by the electric.
Yeah.
And that the electric would have to come together and rescind that or not. It has not been answered clearly.
Okay.
Right, so that goes back to my concern about the confusion, which is that if we warn a vote and it passes or it doesn't pass, let's assume that it passes. And then the transitional board, or actually the new board, then taking aside the legal issue, we're asking the voters to vote again, and then we have to explain what pieces they've already voted on and what pieces they haven't. And in my mind, especially given that our legal counsel and the AOE and the state board are all of one very clear voice, I see lots of downsides and no up for warning a budget at town meeting. That's my personal stance on it.
So for me, it's all the time sequence. So currently, the guidance that I understand is there'll be a different board in place prior to town meeting that will have the authority to do that work. If that board is not in place in time and we become the board to submit a budget, then we'll warn a budget and submit it. Won't be on town meeting day, but it'll be at a later date.
Yeah.
So in my mind, we won't be the legal board to present a budget in the end of February. So that's what I'm operating on. If we become a legal board, then we will warn and present a budget.
And we have a budget, so,
And we
so it wouldn't be easy to.
So I'd call a question.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. The motion is to, and I'm gonna we should make sure that my notes and your notes are somewhat in agreement. Move to follow AOE and WCSU legal advice not to present a budget for a vote on town meeting day.
May I ask you to do one thing?
Sure.
Change it to Chris Leopold instead of WCSU. I'm not an
Sorry.
attorney, and no one in our office is.
WCSU legal counsel or
Chris Leopold.
just Chris Leopold? Would you consider that a friendly amendment? Okay. Are our notes in agreement for what the motion is?
So, what I have is, motion by notes, move to follow AOE legal advice.
AOE and Chris Leopold, do we want to explain?
Just say legal advice.
So the motion is to follow AOE and Chris Leopold's legal advice not to present a budget for a vote on town meeting day.
On town meeting day? Or
Correct.
not on town meeting day?
Not to present a budget for a vote on town meeting day. I'm sure that could be done with fewer words, but that's what I do. Made by Steve and seconded by Lindy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? Thank you. 3.1.2, school board member elections. So we have 2 board members who need to, in a pretty short time, have their petitions in.
Next Monday would be the short time.
Yep,
Oh, good.
yeah.
I guess I better do that.
Yeah, probably tomorrow would be a good day to.
Just be done at school.
Does that need further discussion beyond that? Does not, correct?
No, and Kari was here earlier explaining U32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So it's you and Steven. Yeah.
3.1.3. East Montpelier Town School District, East Montpelier Town School District Town Meeting Warning.
So we gave you 2 versions of the warning, one with the public meeting on it. You are required to announce at a public meeting about any district election or district meeting 10 days prior. If you did it in the warning, then you're all set. If this is when you want it, if you want a different time, you could amend it right now. Or we could do the first option on page 4 that doesn't say when the meeting is happening. So this is part of what, Laura, you were talking about earlier. And so Krista actually said, she said, why don't we give all the boards, which we've been doing, the option to put it right on the warning or not. And so if you'd like it on the warning, we can do it with what's on page 5, and if it's a different time and date, you can amend that right now. That's been traditionally when you had it, which is the Saturday before at 9:30.
Okay.
So just trying to, it was a good thought by Krista to give you some options.
Is there any reason that we would not want to, I mean, this sort of loops back to the conversation that we started to have a bit ago, which is any reason to stray further from our norm other than, okay, I'm gonna clarify
I'm
and
just-
say,
oh, yeah,
in
I'm
my mind,
confused. What do you-
we should present just like we would normally do on Saturday morning for town forum. With, again, the very clear position being that we are here for informational purposes only, and we are not going to be voting on Tuesday. But we're here to answer questions just like we always are. Does that make sense to everybody else?
Because it's really just that Article 1 and 2,
Correct.
Yeah.
to present a report. Correct?
Yeah, I don't know about the moderator piece.
Yeah.
That's on the Australian ballot, isn't it?
No, the moderator's
No,
not
there's-
on the Australian ballot.
Yeah.
The only thing that you've
Oh, yeah.
approved through your.
Yeah,
It
those-
says it's
Yeah,
underneath
yeah, they
the
are.
Australian
Is
ballot.
it?
Yes.
Okay.
Article
I
three
didn't
and
look
four
up
You're
are
absolutely
the,
right.
yeah.
I wanna check that with the town.
Yeah, the moderator has been
Has it been?
traditionally done by.
Yeah,
it is
on a ballot.
It's not
Okay.
for a vote.
Sorry, I'm used to almost everybody, I think you're the only one that, besides U32, that has it done. Sorry. Stuck in.
Good catch, thank you.
Well, I was a little confused as far as the way it was done, but those that fall below that Australian ballot, the moderator and the school directors.
So those, you are correct, those are the only two things that we'll be doing. So
And the only
it will
thing you
be-
can discuss about those is somebody can stand up and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. As far as you can't discuss
Correct.
what's on the Australian ballot, but you
Yes.
can introduce yourself.
No speechifying.
Right.
And so, Flora, when you were asking before about, giving a presentation, that's the reports.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that Article 1, you can do whatever you want in that Article 1.
Do the slideshow and what we do. Question, Bill, is, and not, well, no, I'll do that later. I'm just, in the part where we will do the report also, let's say that we by then know when we would have an election, we can do anything about F-46 and say,
Yeah.
so-and-so would be running, no? Yeah?
Yeah, that's
okay,
right,
yeah.
the reports are pretty wide open.
Yeah,
Basically, you're giving information of the district. So,
So I would favor the warning on page 5, keeping the Saturday previous
me too.
meeting. Because we should also have further clarity on the process at that point. And that would, I think the more chances we have to discuss whatever the current situation is with community members is better.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I would make a motion,
Do we want to jump to the action item?
Might as
To,
well.
one, approve the East Montpelier's Town School District meeting warning?
I would appear to favor that since I was gonna make a motion. As long as everyone else is okay.
Yeah,
Fine with it.
The one on page 5.
page 5,
So-
yeah.
Is it adequate to say, approve the East Montpelier Town School District warning on page,
just say the one that contains the announcement of the informational meeting.
so the East Montpelier Town School District warning that includes the Saturday morning meeting?
I'll
And
second
then
that.
I'll hand you this to sign. And I'm just gonna sign this, send you the signature page.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Okey dokey. Act 46 update.
Yeah, but we are having we're on articles of agreement, at least as much as I can do right now, because there's a lot of other things going on in the State House. But,
It's all over the place.
So, well, I guess in general, at 46, there's a couple of, from the BSBA, you all got an email, there's a couple of bills going on in the State House to delay the timeline to 2020. As far as us, we've been working on articles of agreement, and we still don't have consensus if this, well, we now know that we can't put them up to vote, because that was, but we are not gonna be the body anymore. On February 28th, we cease to exist, and it would be the board, the new board, that would have the authority to decide to put them to vote or not. We're trying to give them a recommendation, with the understanding that we would be kind of talking to ourselves too, because a lot of the people in this committee are gonna be in the transitional board, but there's no consensus among us if they should go out to vote or not.
Okay.
And we are giving 3 recommendations, and we have so far 5 articles now with the facilities that we haven't quite approved, right, Bill? That would be the 5th one, yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that would be the 5th one.
Tentatively, let's tentatively.
And then the 6 that were in.
Well, the 6th would be, we're pretty stuck on Article 4, which is not a big surprise, and it was the one that was the hottest priority, the one we waited until the very end And we have three proposals on the table right now. One would be that the town will have the power to decide if the school is closed or not. The other one, and that didn't have, it was 4 and 4 and 2 that we're trying to get to consensus. And then the other one would be to have a supermajority, but the supermajority that they are pushing for is a 65%, which is a very arbitrary, and to try to get, so, I'm not even.
From my call at that meeting, when Matthew showed the electoral map,
Yeah,
that even if you had, if a town voted 3/4 against the proposal, whether it was Calais or Worcester, and you used all the current registered voters, that it really took a supermajority in the other towns to defeat that. And it was really interesting. I thought those 4 slides are great. About
Yeah, yeah.
Here's the math behind, and I just thought the conversation I don't think it came to a conclusion where it stood,
yeah,
but people didn't talk about it anymore after watching those slides.
yeah. And so it would be a supermajority and the vote of the town too. And then the other one is just 2/3 of the new board would have to support wanting to close the school to put it to the 5 towns to vote. And then,
So the process would be a supermajority of the board, a vote by the town.
by the entire
Town.
electorate. So what Article
By
4,
the towns,
yeah,
okay, not
Not
the
just
single
the-
town.
not
that's
the
being
single
affected.
town,
Okay.
yeah. But we don't
Yeah,
have,
I understand that, I can see that one being,
And that's 2 years out.
and that would be, yeah, exactly, and that would be 2 years
Because the
out,
first 2
nothing,
years, it's only
nothing,
the individual town.
nothing right now. And the only 2 real, kind of articles of significance right now, because 2 of them is just legal terms. One would be to have a board of 15 instead of a board of 10. We all think I think that's complete consensus. All those have been approved by everybody, that if easier to, do more work, and then we wouldn't have a 5 and 5 off into decisions. And then the other one is just really, it's supposed to be the local school councils, but it is very, it's very minimal right now, but it still suggests that that's one of the ways to get more community input, is what we're calling it right now. And the last one that we haven't approved, but that we're gonna discuss, is Chris McVeigh brought an article on school and facilities use with, if we wanted to put it to vote. And we were divided too, in that, is that policy, is that something, but that could be something that communities do appreciate, that we are putting out there, so that there's no.
Is that
No,
like to
no,
make
this
sure
is-
schools are still a public entity and usable by
Yeah.
That we would do all we
communities.
can to
Yes.
make sure that the community has the best access as
I
possible.
kind of don't
to-
even know why there's a thought that Act 46 or merging is changing any of that. We're still public schools in communities.
no, and the biggest factor that
Right.
always goes into that is insurance. Usually it has nothing to do with governance.
Yeah, insurance and facility maintenance.
It's
and
not
all
like
of
we're
this
being
is-
taken over by a private corporation. We're still community schools under one governance. I don't understand why that's even a
But I
topic.
think the more that we can, we talked about it, and then some of us kind of came around, like it's, the worst thing would be that if we put it to vote and then community say no by not understanding it, right? We would still do something, all of these articles can go both ways, but hopefully it would be seen as something trying to reach out, because definitely there is a lot of nervousness and a lot of upset, and we don't lose anything by, it's not controversial, at least on my mind. I think that's all I have. We have February 18th, 19th, because we
Tuesday
changed
the
it
19th.
once more. I've been scared to death to put anything on for a Porch Forum, because everything keeps changing so quickly, and Bill has done some updates
Yeah,
on
I'm gonna be doing
YouTube and
new-
stuff.
I've been asked a couple questions about what's actually the transition plan, kind of like some of the details I'm not gonna get into the micro details. I've got a project plan that's about a couple pages long. Laura and I sat down during Christmas and built a project plan. So I'm gonna give, my next video is gonna be about what's the transition process that we have to tackle. So, that, I mean,
So for now, mark your calendars. February 19th is what?
Unified.
The organizational, it may be the organizational meeting. 20th of
13th, 19th.
of
February.
February, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I sent out that proposed schedule
So we keep the 20th on our calendar,
for the transition board.
okay, because I
Yeah,
had it
so-
down as full board.
Yeah. So like Alicia was saying, 13th,
Yeah.
It used to be, Lindy.
No,
That's
the time.
fine.
It used to be,
It was.
Okay.
and this too. Yeah.
And there's something on the 13th?
That's now the full board, carousel.
Okay, I'm out of town.
okay,
Sorry, Steve.
thank you.
And then we're still on time to, warn articles, and that's what we're trying to work on. And hopefully on Wednesday, we will have consensus in putting the amendments to vote or not, and
To recommend putting the
to recommend, and to do the recommendations. Yeah.
And probably those dates are on that page you sent. So I just wrote them down incorrect.
Yep. A lot of them say, the reason it says recommended on there is because I don't have authority to say it, but I'm trying to organize it.
Good for Act 46?
Yeah, and then if we vote, it's not, February 19th, it's also when we would be saying, that board would be warning still, or?
I just can't say no, yes or no. All I can say is they can be presented. The reason why I'm trying to have a transition board on the 20th is to look at the calendar and how they want to go forward with warning for elections and articles if so, or, all that.
Okay.
Or I just
Yeah, I just figure I give them,
I've learned that it serves me better, and I want to say it that way, serves the superintendent better if I say, I'm recommending, trying to get there, but I don't have the authority to say so.
Okay, and and last thing would be the budget vote. If we have a budget vote altogether, will it still be March 30th?
No,
Oh, sorry,
It's
April
in
2nd.
April.
no, that would be for members, for the new board. The budget vote wouldn't be all the way
Oh, that's true,
to
June
May.
2nd, yeah, to be changed.
To May.
I'm looking at the
To-
old,
The new schedule is the one that came out. I don't have it up in front of me right now. I could get it if you'd like to have it, board, but we'd be somewhere around May 7th, and don't quote me on that date, but somewhere in that, it leaves about 5 days for either the new board to look at the recommended budget from the transition board, and it gives 5 days for the transition board to warn and have petitions come in for the new board. And one of the things the executive committee recommended last night was to start getting public about that. Here's what the timeline looks like it could be, so if you want to run for the new board, you should start collecting signatures and how that works.
yeah,
And we'll get all
that's
that
what,
information out.
okay, yeah. 'Cause that's what would be the most important to get out.
You have it up right now, Darcy,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
And that's really quick, but,
So check out that and put it in your calendars, because it all happens pretty quickly, one after the other,
Okey dokey.
unless it changes. Unless it changes.
Reports to the board, administration, page 7.
I don't know if there's any questions.
My only question is, what's the holdup with the data for the spring census?
So,
Did I not want to ask?
That's a Bill question.
that's a me question. So the agency this past year has gone to new ways of collecting data through the longitudinal data system. They did not, it depends on every district in the state before they can do something for individual districts. So there are some states, some districts that don't have the supports that we have in Washington Central, and they were not able to get their data in and cleansed in a way. The state push forward to put in the longitudinal data system. So with that, we're waiting for those districts to finish their work so
That's what
we can have the
it
data
sounded
back.
like.
Now, we gave our data presentation on the SBAC back in the fall because we have our own internal data warehouse. So we can move it, do everything with it. For districts that, I know other districts that can do that too, but there are some districts in the state that have to wait for the state to come up to get their reports to be able to report student progress. So, and the same is true with equalized pupils, that's what's holding up equalized pupils. Still not finalized yet, it's holding up all the tuitions. There's quite a bit of data that, out of AOE right now that's behind statutory deadlines.
Okay.
And then my only comment was I just wanted to say, if that all went via email to all of us, but I just wanted to thank you, Alicia, for all the work on the pledge and making sure that it just worked for everybody.
Yeah,
So thank you.
happy to do it.
Good for administration on the fiscal.
So,
You're not gonna see really any
yeah, you're not gonna
changes.
see any change. I can tell you right now that Lori, I actually pushed a little bit for here, but then she said, well, let's do it unified across the SU. There was open enrollment for January 1st, and so there are new true-ups of all the budgets, basically based on personnel and changing of benefits. So that will be in your February to everybody, we'll have that. So, there hasn't been, you're gonna see tonight, you have on your agenda a paternity leave, so that will be in effect. That isn't in here yet, but I know is in the true. If you do accept that. Which I bet you will. It's already run, cause the one that I seen on the other side that shows it on the other report that's coming in February.
Okay.
Maybe fewer days. Poor man was out with the flu for a week, so he may have a few.
It's
fewer
less,
sick
less,
days.
you were saying, okay. That's the fiscal report right now.
Executive committee?
So it was, well, no, we didn't work on the agenda for the 13th. We
No.
delegated that to Bill and Matthew. I'm trying to
We had a couple of leaves we needed to accept the
Yeah,
audit.
It was a 30-minute meeting, so, but I told them that you'll now be the executive committee rep from here forward, yeah. I'm getting surgery on February 1st, my
Okay.
Achilles tendon,
Okay.
so I'm gonna be out for a week or two, not be able to do anything. And then it's my right foot, so I can't drive. So I'm trying to cut
I
back.
can pick you up.
And I have to stay,
you on your shoulder?
I have to stay on negotiations, so I've
Yeah,
made
yeah,
that my priority, and I'm
Okay.
pulling back from other work.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a 30-minute meeting. We approved that East Montpelier special educator.
Yep, you're,
leave.
yep.
Maternity leave, new special educator.
So you have a,
Maternity?
no, somebody to replace the one who's going to go on maternity.
No, they just approved her leave.
Oh, okay.
That's at the same time as this one.
Okay,
And we have two going out.
right. I thought we'd already done that.
I
Oh,
gave you a
They do it
heads
because
up.
it's special ed.
Yeah,
Oh,
last month. for
there
both.
is one thing we did. At the February 13th full board meeting, it's not a proposal.
It's a recommendation.
The executive committee is gonna recommend to the entire board that the policy committee and the school quality committee can meet at their own discretion. That there's no expectation that there will be regular meetings. There's just so much going on and so much unsure that it seemed reasonable. If those committees wanna meet and do work, that's fine, but so much is up in the air right now. If they would just rather pull back and wait, that's okay.
And policy committee isn't going to meet in February. I'll get that letter out tomorrow.
Thank you.
or email, whatever it is.
So that was it for executive committee.
Policy committee, no.
We didn't meet in January.
And it is,
And we had done the required policies. We had finished those. We were on recommended. Actually, I think we finished the recommended.
There's still a few, I think.
There's a couple. And we didn't have a quorum in January. And so we're taking the executive committee's recommendation to put it on hold for right now as all this transition's going on.
and quality committee, we didn't meet, we decided not to meet because we had too many things going on. Some of us are in the articles, and so Carrie sent an email out and we didn't meet, so we haven't done anything new from what we presented to you guys at the last full board meeting. There's nothing, you know. And we haven't scheduled, I just asked Carrie if he was gonna, we haven't scheduled another meeting until we have clarity of how much other work there is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Negotiations committee will be resuming January 28th.
Yes.
We'll have the board representatives will just have a short organizational meeting
On the
next,
24th,
yeah, end of this week.
Thursday morning.
But the next joint negotiating session is January 28th.
I believe that brings us to the approve leave of absence request. Wow, can't words. Find on the back of your packet.
So I would make a motion, we approve the leave of absence request of Michael Blanchard.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion of the leave request? Seeing and hearing none, all of those in favor of approving it as presented, please say aye. Opposed?
Oh, sorry.
Congratulations, is the only.
Approve the board order. Take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the board order in the amount of $129,852.06.
Second.
Is there any discussion of the board order?
No.
All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Brings us to future agenda items. Board communication.
So our next meeting is the town meeting, no? Or the
13th.
13th, right, yeah.
And I'll let the board know now, I will be out of town that day, so I will not be at the 13th meeting.
Okay. And I believe that brings us to adjournment. Which we will do at 6:19.
Do I have to go down to the town clerk's or is it